Hello, and close your eyes and imagine silk banners rustling under moonlight, the scent of rosewater drifting through marble halls. From the silent steps of Osman Gazi in a shadowed forest, to the playful glint in Suleiman's eyes as poets praise his conquests. This is the Ottoman Empire as few have heard it, a tale not just of empires and battles, but of secrets, laughter, and the soft hush that echoes beneath jeweled domes. Tonight, let's wander through centuries, where history whispers and sometimes gently tickles. Chapter 1, The Silk Blanket of Söğüt T.A. Frost. Brittle morning drapes the plateau town of Söğüt in a crunchy layer of white. Snow is rare here, so the locals call it sky salt. And the goats, ever culinary adventurers, keep trying to lick it off the millet stacks. Somewhere in this monochrome stillness, Osman the Ertugrul future founder, current young man with smoke-scented beard pushes open a cedar door that squeaks like a reed flute 3 notes flat. He mutters something unprintable about carpenters, who promise silent hinges, then breathes in air sharp enough to exfoliate lungs. Crisp inhale, slow exhale, feel the cold air massage your soft palate. Notice the tiny crackles as ice crystals settle on mustache hair. The empire, ladies and gentlemen, begins not with trumpets, but with nasal D-E-C-O-N-G-E-S-T-I-O-N. Mont, one an air without maps, but with an excellent sense of direction. Contrary to epic mini-series, Osman owns no jewel chest, no marble fountain, not even a half-decent carpet. His portfolio is geography, rolling pasture, a tricky river ford, and one dangerously charismatic smile that convinces nomads their best future lies at his campfire. By day he studies topography, by night he redraws it on goat skin with charcoal, labeling Byzantine guard posts. Here be grumpy taxmen and potential ambush gullies, free arrows while supplies last. His chief cartographic insight, if a toll collector is universally hated, offer an alternative route, and maybe a free lentil stew voucher. The man may not have silver, but he understands loyalty programs point to millet and Margraves, a whisper. Level. Alliance. Osman's earliest allies are Yaya Pazaoglu dervishes, Sufi mystics who make every sentence sound like it might turn into a lullaby. Their lodge serves steaming lentil soup seasoned with the phrase, "May your path be featherlight." The spoon clinks, the steam sighs, you yes. You can almost hear the gentle bubbling glub plop under the imam's sermon. Osman, slurping politely, signs an informal mo, protect the lodges, receive soft intelligence wrapped in hymns. Not bad for the price of soup. His second ally, Connor Alp, speaks 6 dialects of sarcasm and believes gravity is a suggestion. Local legend says his sling once took down a charging boar. Connor clarifies, boar tripped over its own ego. I merely provided encouragement. Humor aside, Connor maps patrol routines while humming a tune that sounds suspiciously like 2 pebbles tap dancing inside a gourd. Listening is oddly soothing tap. She tap tap. An accidental SMR track for future GHAIZI.3. A dream drizzled with pomegranate seeds. Chroniclers. Later at the famous moon and tree dream. Whether genuine or PR stunt, it spreads faster than gossip about free baklava. People love symbolism, especially when delivered in soft, bedtime story tones, and the moon slid from the sheik's chest she nestling into Osman's heart before sprouting a tree rustling like 1,000 silk blankets. Seriously, who wouldn't sign up for that franchise? For first skirmish, the Karaki pop-up event, spring. Osman ambushes a Byzantine tax caravan near Kirki. 30 riders hide behind a cedar thicket. Smells like every holiday candle you've ever sniffed. A talk signal. Connor snaps a twig Kirk. Delightfully crisp. In minutes, chest of imperial coins spills across thawing mud. Osman waves his men back, telling villagers, "We don't do returns. Take it, it's yours." The metallic clink of peasants scooping silver becomes background percussion, like someone shaking a bag of dried chickpeas near your left ear. TC het TC ha. Empire building SMR.5. Marriage love, logistics, and light comedy. Osman marries Mohan Hatton to secure goat paths. Dowry negotiations feature serious faces, but records note Osman cracked a joke about goats unionizing. Laughter breaks tension. Even stony elders smile, their beards rustling FFFF like brooms in low wind. Agreement inked, caravans gain safe passage. Malhun gains husband who forgets anniversaries, but remembers treaty clauses. 6. Biletric heist chest of silk ASMR edition. Bile 6 commander expects silk. Instead, hear the thud-thud of Gazi. Boots inside walnut chest, the soft rasp of blades unsheathed, the hushed oath. In the name of the most merciful, try not to squeak. Gates open, fort surrenders, only casualty. The commander's pride, audibly deflated like a goatskin. Bag theft. Dawn breaks. Fort walls echo with mourning doves, cooing approval coo-hoo. Coo-hoo, an accidental lullaby for conquered ramparts. 7 economy of trust, with bonus aroma of lentil. Moment. No problem. Osman issues spoken IOUs. Imagine the scene. Marketplace. Buzz. Vendor roasting chestnuts. Pop, pop, pop. Osman promises payment after the next moon. Pats vendor's shoulder pat pat and walks off. 2 moons later, he delivers double chestnuts. Reputation becomes louder than coin clink. Each fulfilled promise a tiny chime dang. In the city's collective ear. 8 council beneath the walnut tree, a soft-voiced parliament. Evening. Osman, Connor, 2 dervishes, a shepherd, and a ceramicist gather under a broad walnut tree. Leaves wrestle high overhead SHFF, masking confidential chatter. They pass a goat hide wineskin. Every squeeze issues squelch gulp notes. Comedic yet strangely satisfying. Decisions reached by consensus. Osman's voice stays calm, dropping to near whisper when emphasis needed. Listeners lean in, leaves hush, crickets hush. Even the wind hovers. Political ASMR at its finest. 9 blueprint for a non-noisy empire. Before. Sleep Osman, now inside cedar-scented kiosk. Drafts mental checklist. Add hinge oil. Recruit another sling guy, design flag that flaps quietly. He smiles because tomorrow's list includes liberate Bursa's silk and don't trip over goats. History will later thunder his name, but tonight the empire is just a soft heartbeat beneath wool blankets and distant owl. Hoots hoo. Surprisingly cozy for a future conquest machine. Take one last deep inhale smoke, cedar and snowflake pheromones, then let it out slowly. The stage is set, a humorous boy becoming bae, whittles maps by firelight while goats audition as percussionists. Next episode, Orhan takes the baton, and probably the last chestnut, to roll Bursa into the Ottoman blanket. Stay tuned, keep ears soft. Chapter 2, Gallop Toward Bursa dawn rolls over the Mahalik. Plain like a soft green drumbeat first, a faint vibration on barley tips, then a full-bodied shimmer as sun rays pour between olive branches. The frost blanket that once cocooned. Skewt Chapter 1 is gone. Spring nitrogen perfumes the air with a scent somewhere between mint and new coin. Orhan Bey, eldest son of Osman, tightens a wool scarf against that dawn chill, then pivots in the stirrup for a last glance at the wooden kiosk his father built beneath the walnut tree. The kiosk's chimney puffs resignedly, as though aware that history's center of gravity is about to shift 50 leagues west toward the emerald girdle of Bursa, one inheritance written in hoofbeats. Orhan inherits neither marble throne nor opulent treasury. He inherits momentum. Osman spent 2 decades mapping soft spots in Byzantine border walls. Orhan intends to tilt those cracks wide. His first executive order is delightfully simple: ride. Scouts mount chestnut geldings, leather saddles creak, barley fodder rustles inside saddlebags. Their mission: trace every goat path, timber route, and smuggler's lane converging on Bursa, a city famed for silk tents that billow like sails on land. By week's end, 26 parchment strips, each inked with trail elevations and garrison counts, hang drying on kiosk rafters. A cartographer pins them into radial rosette. Bursa sits center, a ripe fig among thorns. To Green Valley mint economy. Before siege. Before touching sword to gate, Orhan touches silver to dye. He commandeers a small copper mint in Yenisehir, a market town acquired via quiet treaty. Smiths quenched in this economy of truss now hammer blanks into coins called Aki modest discs weighing 1.15 grams, struck with the legend, Orhan son of Osman, ever just. The phrase carries no sultan title. Humility plays well among frontier merchants. Orhan issues edict: Bursa silk may be bought only with Aki. Caravan leaders, allergic to double tariffs, exchange Byzantium's hyperpyra for Aki at favorable rate. Thus, Bursa's textile lifeblood begins pulsing in Orhan's currency before his banners. Even silhouette the city walls. 3 diplomacy by commence, Bursa's hinterland teams with rival base Karase, Jermian, and Kandarakich fancying themselves. Heirs to Seljuk twilight, Orhan hosts them in canvas pavilion pitched beside a spring whose water chuckles over limestone like someone rinsing copper pans. Feast menu: smoked trout, fig compote, goat cheese discs the size of sling stones. Between courses, a Kimmins player slides bow across 3 strings, producing lilting ascents that mimic mountain breeze through poplars. Orhan's policy team observes. The rival bays tap fingers to rhythm even while arguing border posts. By dessert, a truce emerges. Karasi will grant passage along coastal, rich in exchange for 2,000 Aki credit toward future grain shipments. Music, not mace, closes deal. Strings imprint contract into collective muscle memory for the siege that wasn't Kobankail. Bluff. Northeast of Bursa rises Kobankail, a Byzantine watchtower guarding silk caravans. Conventional wisdom: capture tower, strangle Bursas. Left ventricle. Orhan employs inversion, ignore tower, block its resupply. He stations shepherd militias, hence tower's name, on every goat track feeding garrison, confiscating hay bales under pretext of hoof and mouth quarantine. Within weeks, tower sentries bargain silk scraps for barley mash. Orhan lets them. Starve politely, even sending letters recommending vegetarian fasting for Lent. When famine whispers louder than faith, Byzantine commander opens gates. Ottoman flag rises without one stone displaced. Bursa now stands isolated like an anvil with no smith. 5 Tash Kakru gambit bridging the golden pheasant. River. Last natural moat protecting Bursa is the Nova River, called Golden Pheasant for sunrise reflections. Spring melts swells. Its girth, Engineers propose ferry pontoons. Orhan rejects time. Instead, he orders Taşköprü, a quickset stone bridge built using mortar laced with volcanic ash imported from nearby Uludağ slopes. The recipe sets under damp air in 4 days. At dawn day 5, horse columns cross the left bank, hooves clacking on still damp stone. Bursa's scouts report impossible news. The river grows spine overnight. 6 softening wolves honey, and war drums. Contrary to tales of monstrous trebuchets, Orhan softens Bursa via honey diplomacy. He contacts city's Armenian Silk Guild, promising lower import duty on alum if looms stay quiet during siege. He sends crates of Söğüt honeycombs through neutral caravan, a sweet understanding coated in beeswax. For moral pressure drummers, outside date maintain heartbeat tempo boom, pause, boom. Not frantic, just inevitable, like pulse edging into uneasy dreams. Walls quake more from silence behind looms than from strikes of battering rams. 7. The green banner unfurled, April 6, 1326 fog. Clings to cedar groves. Drizzle beads on iron helms. Bursa's Byzantine governor negotiates surrender, perhaps persuaded by honey, perhaps by ledger showing pantry grain measured in hours. Gate opens. Orhan's troops enter at walking speed, spears upright, silk turbans unruffled to telegraph restraint. Residents peer from lattice balconies, expecting pillage. Instead they hear market crier proclaim, no house tax beyond its roof beams. A soft gasp ripples through steep streets. Orhan kneels on damp paving, presses forehead to stone. Whispering gratitude, chronicler notes, the city inhaled, waited, then exhaled peace. He renames Bursa Hadavendigar, God's gift, yet locals still call it Yegel green for valley hue. First coin minted inside newly repossessed Byzantine mint bears dual text, Arabic Tugra, Greek legend Omicron Chi Alpha, New Omicron Upsilon, bridging scripts like Taşköprü spans river. 8 minting ambition institutions take root. Orhan establishes Divan Humayun Imperial Council, inside repurposed bathhouse, whose marble echoes amplify whispers into gentle authority. A Qadi court adjudicates disputes. Scribes copy rulings onto silk paper thinned from defective loom runs. He allocates endowments. Vakif, funding caravanserai, roof repairs, and medical soup kitchens. Soup ladles clang on cauldrons, each dawn ding. Ding announcing charity open. Forging sonic ritual binding city to ruler. 9 architectural bloom Yezelkami. Seedling. Orhan commissions modest wooden mosque on hill later crowned by his son Murad's green mosque. Prototype features cedar. Pillars scented like forest after rain. Floor covered in reed mats that squeak softly under pilgrim feet. Calligrapher inks Kufic verses onto pine planks. Ink soaks grain, feathering into natural pattern reminiscent of ringed canals, accidental homage to Atlantean geometry lost to sea, yet resurfacing in Anatolian. Cedar, 10 inheritance forward, the relay baton dot as Bursa's first Friday prayer. Echoes through alleys, messengers gallop to Söğüt, bearing silk bolts, honey jars, and cask of freshly minted ackee for Osman no too ill to travel. Legend claims he smiles, murmurs, Bursa's green is my shroud. 2 months later, father gone, Orhan inherits full Beylik and one last directive scratched onto walnut plank. Rule with justice louder than drums. He nails plank above council door, wood creaks whenever breeze passes, reminding viziers of oath. Exhale 6 counts smell mingled honey, copper, and spring earth. Bursa's gates rest open, mint fires glow. An ambition freshly coined begins circulating beyond valley. Next chapter will chart Murad the first thrust across Rumeli, where bridges span not rivers but continents. Chapter 3, Bridge of Rumeli. Twilight settles over the Maritza River like violet ink spilled across a parchment map. Somewhere upriver a water wheel turns, its paddles clacking a slow metronome that times the shift change of watchfires along both banks. On the Anatolian shore, a young sovereign, Murad ibn Orhan, freshly invested yet already silver, templed studies the flicker of those fires through a polished bronze mirror. Each ember dot reflects as a pinprick star, and Murad maps them, silently naming constellations, centuries rest, grain tax, bribe negotiation point. In his mind, the river is less a boundary than a hinge, the Balkans a door waiting to swing. One inheritance of momentum, not marble. Orhan left Murad two priceless legacies, Bursa's mint pulse and a doctrine of soft conquest. May their marble column nor jeweled treasury match the value of that doctrine. First turn merchants, then turn ramparts. Murad intends to transpose it onto a broader stave across Thracian vineyards, over cobbled Roman roads, into valleys echoing Orthodox chants. Yet Thrace is no frontier of neglected forts. It is a chessboard of despots, Serbian princes, and Byzantine governors, each maneuvering knights carved from cedar and bishops carved from church tithes. Murad's gambit must therefore climb from economic overture toward theological refrain. He requires a new bridge, physical, fiscal, and spiritual, to pivot the Rumeli door. Two Drava council cartographers, dervishes, and debt bookers. Murad convenes council at Drava Caravanserai, where lime-washed walls amplify whispers. The roster, Kandar Kara Hello Pasha, Qadi turned vizier, ledger eyes, pulse of the treasury, Evernose Bey, Gazi commander whose war horses reputedly cat-step through vineyards, Abdal Musa, Bektashi dervish, cloak stitched with grape leaves and verses, Nicopolis emigre bankers, Orthodox Bulgars fleeing higher Byzantine tariffs, Hillel Pasha lays out silk scroll, Maritza bridges aging, toll houses corrupt, ferries unpredictable, trade, caravans bleed bribe coins. We solve river, we solve Thrace, he states. Evernose sketches palisade positions on fig leaf. Abdal Musa hums him to calibrate patience. Consensus, build a timber causeway first. Stone arch later mobile strategy for mobile troops. 3. The whisper bridge timber, tar, and 13 silent chains. Night after council. 400 axemen fell black poplars along Anatolian bank. Logs dragged by buffalo slick with linseed oil hooves thud. Chains rasp a percussion trio. Workers slot logs into floating cribs, bind with 13 silent chains. Iron links wrapped in felt-soaked olive oil, muffling clank. Over 6 frost-steeped dawns, causeway creeps across river like wooden serpent. Byzantine scouts upstream. Notice late, they dispatch riders, but Evrinose's light cavalry trails them, jingling tambourines to mask hoofbeat, intercepting at Vineyard Fork. Riders disarmed with minimal force, 1 broken lance, 2 bruised egos. War communique penned on grape leaf. Your toll house awaits its own toll. The 4th of March of the twin standards, green and saffron, April 1363. Murad unfurls 2 banners, green for Gazi pledge, saffron for caravan trust. Columns cross wooden bridge at walking pace. Hoof iron taps on planks toke echo swallowed by river reeds. Bargemen watch from barges seized as collateral for unpaid tolls. Now they row voluntarily under Ottoman charter guaranteeing. fixed river tariffs. Across bank, Adrianople Edirne rises, its red tile roofs glowing like embers at dawn. Byzantine garrison expects siege ladders. Instead, Murad unpacks grain tents stocked with Anatolian wheat. He invites city merchants to tour supply lines, mules loaded with salt, pepper, and Bursa silk. Offer regular grain shipments in exchange for quartered barracks and sanctuary for tax-pressed artisans. Merchants vote inside Church of St. John the Baptist. Candles gutter. Votes tilt toward bread security. 5. Edirne's quiet capitulation. Governor's envoy approaches Murad's pavilion, sandals slapping like polite applause. Terms fixed. Limited garrison remain. Banners fly side by side on citadel mast. Churches untaxed for 7 years. Murad strolls city walls at dusk, fingers grazing brick. He whispers to Kendar Khalil, a wall repurposed is cheaper than a wall rebuilt. Hillel scribbles ratio on ledger. Cost saved equals 2 years of mint dyes. Funds earmarked for UC Zarafeli Mosque Foundation stone. 6 Frontier Faith from Tech to Throne Room. Murad tasks Abdel Musa to establish Bektashi. Techs north of Maritza. Dervishes offer soup, song, and subtle re-education. Their zikr circles echo drumbeats faint enough to coax curiosity, not alarm. Local Bulgars attend for free stew, stay for Persian poetic fragments. Over months, new lexicon spreads. Hudeda, as greeting, Pralanta Sabir, diamond patience and laundering songs. Faith becomes quiet infiltration, flowing like dye into silk warp. Yet Murad respects multi-confessional mosaic. He appoints Greek archon Kyriakos as head tax assessor, aligning Aki calculations with Byzantine hyperpyron weights to calm merchants. Aki edges inscribed with dual numerals, Arabic and Greek. Coin rings a clear bell taunting universalist trade. 7 Serbian thunder the pre-Kosovo reverberation. Rumeli door wide, but Serbian kingdom stands sentinel. Prince Lazar consolidates Morava valleys, forging alliances with Bosnian bands. Skirmishes spark near Samokov iron mines. Murad dispatches Evernos to test waters. Cavalry feints at dawn, retreats by noon, noting Serbian charge tendencies. Reports. Highlight heavy knight armor slows river fords, intel stockpiled for future campaign. Meanwhile, Murad builds Yeni Kukru, new bridge, of stone 4 kilometers upstream. Cutwaters shaped like ship prows to slice ice floes. Stonemasons set foundation quarried from Thracian marble, slots pre-chiseled for tollhouse stalls. Under arches, murmurs ripple water hitting pilings, forms constant white noise hush. Soldiers stationed above speak softer, subconsciously mirroring current. 8 Administrative Leap Edirne as new capital. Bursa's valleys remain spiritual heart, but Murad relocates central Divan to Edirne, midway between Rumeli and Anatolia. Palace is former Byzantine governor's mansion, walls repainted of pigments. Carpet weavers lay new rugs. Footfalls muffled shuff, across wool pattern featuring twin standards. Murad issues firman. Letters beyond Sofia must answer Edirne seal. Paperwork corridor shortens, decisions accelerate. 9 Madrasa. N Maritza education as mooring line. Murad funds use Zarafeli Madrasa beside mosque. Curriculum blending Hanafi jurisprudence with arithmetic of bridge engineering. Students recite verses while drawing parabolic arch equations on sand tray swish. Swish, river outside hums accompaniment. Banks hosting fish farms regulated by Vakif charter. Part catch feeds madrasa kitchens, part sold to pay teacher stipends. 10. The Balkan Hinge closes Dot by 1371. Bridge network spans Maritsa, Struma, and Vardar rivers. Gazi warbands settle in Timurs, land grants, worked by local peasants under tax terms lighter than previous feudal rents. Whisper economics outcompetes sword terror. Nevertheless, swords remain for outliers like Hungarian warden Nicolas Garay, whose ironclad retinues test Vardar crossing only to find pilings greased with ox fat, causing horse slips and diplomatic embarrassment. Murad's chronicler writes, Ramelli pivoted on bridges, not blades, though blades waited in shadow like folded wings. Exhales 6 counts, the scent blending Maritza water mist, new mint Aki metal, and cedar tar planks. A hinge has turned. Ottoman banners now ripple over Thracian wheat as naturally as breeze. Next chapter will amble terrestrial thunder. At Nicopolis, where Bayezid's lightning will test bridge diplomacy and fire. Chapter 4. Anvil and Nicopolis when Bayezid ibn Murad exiles. Scouts swear they taste copper in the air-faint metallic tang preceding storms across the Danube corridor. Chroniclers will brand him Yildirim, the thunderbolt, yet lightning. Alone does not shatter fortresses, it needs an anvil. Tonight, that anvil is the limestone promontory of Nicopolis, a Frankish-Hungarian bastion whose crenellations grip the Danube like iron teeth biting bread crust. If Murad's bridges turned Ramelli into Ottoman hinge. Chapter 3. Bayezid intends Nicopolis to become the hammer-stroke sealing Balkan momentum Dot, breathe in 4 counts taste. River fog laced with forge soot. Hold 2. Exhale 6, seeing distant torch clusters along castle parapets flicker like fireflies trapped in brass cage. 1. From lightning raids to iron siege. Philosophy. Bayezid's early campaigns earned thunder epithet through a conky cavalry horseman who rode branchless paths, striking, vanishing, leaving border lords hearing hoofbeats long after dust settled. Yet castles stubborn as Nicopolis cannot be outrun. Bayezid therefore upgrades tactics from flash to forge, raids soften wheat fields, and morale. Siege smiths then hammer walls until logic, not fear, compels surrender. In this transition, Bayezid bankrolls an artillery corps atypically early for 14th century. Warfare Lahi trebuchets launching 250 kilograms shot, plus smaller torsion mangonels shooting quarrels thick as saplings. Logistics ledger, 4,000 oak beams felled in Rhodope forests, 22,000 oxen yoked for wagon chain, 3,000 iron wedges forged in Bursa smithies, 700 weight pitch barrels ordered from Edern TANNERS. VIZ. IA Arkandar Ali Pasha Strokes Beard. Calculates daily bread allocation, 60,000 loaves, 15 tons bulgur, 8 herds of sheep. Bayezid signs with Tugris shaped like forked lightning. 2. Crusader Cauldron Sigismund's Call and Franco-Burgundian Flair. Word of Ottoman. Push past Vardar stirs King Sigismund of Hungary to convene crusade. Knights from Burgundy, Brittany, Walloon, Flanders sail up Danube barges, armor polished like festival mirrors. Chronicler Jane de Wavering gloats. We will dine in Bursa by Michaelmas. In Paris taverns, minstrels improvise couplets praising Count John of Nevers, wearing surcoat, woven with golden lions. Ottoman spies memorize songs, noting overconfidence beats stronger than war drums. Sigismund's coalition sets camp north bank, bright tents, loud trumpets, supply wagons heavy with claret barrels. In contrast, Bayezid's host on south bank dines quietly on lentil stew flavored with river mint. Mess cooks keep fires low to mass position. 2 armies eye one another across Danube mirror, Reflections rippling when Make Cart breach surface. 3 Gilded Charge meets Hungarian Thorn Hedge. The Field Phase, September 25th, 1396. Frankish vanguard defies Sigismund's caution. Charging uphill through vineyard terraces toward Ottoman skirmish line, in dawn haze, grape leaves glisten with dew. Chargers slip, hooves mashing purple clusters, sweet-scented musk perfumes, battle air. Ottoman light infantry retreats by design, drawing knights into choke lane lined with cheval de frise oak frames studded with iron spikes. Horses at bail. Momentum stalls. Behind hedge, Janissary archers loose flights of bodkin arrows. Armor plate sings clink-clink where arrows glance, but joints and visors prove porous. Frankish enthusiasm bleeds into confusion. Hungarian infantry, meant to support, bogged down by panicked rearguard wagons. Sigismund exclaims, per German chronicler, "We are betrayed by our own rashness." Desperate crusaders try to flank through cornfield. Akanki cavalry, swords half-moon, emerge like wind-shaken barley, slicing arcs then vanishing. Battle flows downhill now, energy draining as wine casks split from abandoned wagons, red rivulets interlacing soil. Point 4 Siege ring iron teeth clamp Nicopolis. Victorious Field Phase grants Bayezid outer works. He orders Tabia earth ramparts built. Overnight, gabion baskets stuffed with sod. Trenches zigzag to main slope. On ridge, Wahi trebuchets assembled. Ropes pre-soaked in tallow for elasticity. First boulder thrown at noon sings through air whoosh strikes tower corner. Shards cascade like chipped pewter. Each salvo timed to prayer rhythm. Musing call overlaps Trebuchet Creek, forging liturgical artillery. Inside fortress, command devolves. French, Wallachian, Hungarian captains argue ration priorities. Bread dwindles. Luxury marchpane stockpiled for banquet melts in heat. Bayezid's messengers catapult casks stuffed with bread and a note. Your feast cooled outside. We can reheat. Psychological nudge extends siege more effectively than third volley. Tunnelers. Quiet symphony. Ottoman Legimp sappers dig under Sallyport, wrists brushing earth, humming Nakam Hija's tune to keep pace. Soil type. Loess, easy until limestone shards. Paper-brace tunnel with cedar shims. Pitch torches emit resin aroma, masking human scent from castle dogs. Unday 7, mine packed with brush, sulfur, saltpeter. Fuse-lit whispers, ground trembles. Bastion wall cracks open like walnut. 5 Crusaders surrender, and noble ransom economy. Garrison sues for terms. Bayezid's reply crisp. Unconditional for rank and file, negotiable gold for lords. French. Chroniclers allege massacre. Ottoman registers record 3,000 captives resettled as vineyard laborers near Edirne. Noble prisoners died at commander's table under strict curfew. Count John of Nevers writes letter home praising Bayezid's impeccable. Plum stew, though copy editor adds margin note. Bring ransom quickly. Ransom ledger, Burgundy, 200,000 florins. Walloon Flanders, 80,000. German principalities. War horses. Steel crossbow crank winches. Venice, naval pilot charts for Black Sea lanes. Kandar Ali Pacha. Invests ransom into Bursa silk monopoly extension. Sultan's treasury swelling like THUNDERCL. OUD.6 Nicopolis postscript castle becomes Anvil School. Bayezid converts breach wing of fortress into Demirhain ironworks. Blacksmiths fashion cannon molds using limestone crater as foundry pit symbolic. Ruin births artillery. Janissary cadets study trajectory tables chalked onto shattered ramparts. Every impact scar becomes classroom diagram. Orthodox churches spared. Bayezid issues firman. Clergy exempt from jizya for 5 years if they supply parchment destined for imperial chancery. Balance iron siege outside. Administrative silk glove inside. 7 diplomatic thunder rumbling east. Victory alarms. European courts. Pope Boniface X calls for new crusade. Avignon Anabopes quibble. Meanwhile, Bayezid redirects gaze to Timur's rising shadow in east. Thunderbolt needs to strike desert now, yet Nicopolis' throat's still hot. He installs Philip Plovdiv governorship under Bulgarian boyar turned Ottoman vassal. Multi-ethnic bureaucracy seeds stability, freeing elite cavalry for Anatolian redeployment. 8 legacy echoes, iron siege schools, and vineyard ballads. Years later, Anatolian children strum Baglama ballads of Bayezid's thunder in Nicopolis. Grapes pressed beneath iron hooves. In Balkan taverns, local singers answer with lament mourning crusader folly. 2 melodies intermingle across river markets, forming hybrid-scale cultural alloys stronger than fort stone. Ottoman engineers cite Nicopolis logs when designing bronze bombards for Constantinople decades later, thus lightning raid doctrine. Fused with iron siege science becomes composite weapon shaping empire's zenith. Closing breath, from clang to quiet drip. Exhale 6 counts, the air now carries forge, coal tang fading to dew-wet grape aroma. Nicopolis, once anvil, cools. And Danube mist. Thunderbolt rides east, leaving behind a Balkan hinge shut firm. Siege manuals ink dry, and a cautionary echo for any knight dazzled by armor sheen. Next chapter, we'll dive into interregnum fracture, where lightning pauses and Ottoman crown splinters among 4 ambitious princes. Chapter 5, Shards and Shadows, the Battlefield of Antera. July 1402 still steams like a blacksmith's quench bath. Bayezid's campfires have guttered into charred halos, and westbound dust devils carry ash long enough to sprinkle even the plum. Orchards of Bursa. From the scorched pivot emerges a vacuum, a throne-shaped silhouette, ringed by 4 brothers sharpening claims like mismatched daggers. Historians will dub the era Fecit Davri, the interregnum, but at street level, it feels more like a cracked ceramic bowl, whose fragments clink whenever couriers gallop by, breathe in 4 counts, taste copper dust and mulberry wine dregs lingering. And overturned Ottoman supply carts. Hold 2 counts feel tension coiled like bowstrings inside caravaner lungs. Exhale 6, watching Empire's map warp like soft clay pulled in 4 directions at once. 1 currency civil war, 1 mince talk. Louder than cannons. BURS, a silver gambetisa floods bazaars with new Aki to pay mercenaries. Engraving. Tagra of Bayezid, flanked by twin tulips, symbolizing fraternal unity ironic, given context. Market reaction, silver purity shaved to 80%. Spice merchants raise prices. Isa decrees price caps. Merchants hoard pepper anyway, Eterns. Hyperpyrin hybrid across Maritza. Suleiman mints Romulian Aki alloyed to match Byzantine hyperpyrin weight, easing cross-border trade. Greek scribes applaud. Ottoman bookkeepers frown at seigniorage loss. Still, Edirne bazaars bustle, sellers counting mixed coin stacks like musicians, tapping symbol cling, cling tack dot, AMA, SIG single quotes, S copper IOU memmed, black silver mines. Issues. Thakir pull copper tokens, redeemable after conquest of Bursa. Tokens large as hazelnuts, stamped with running horse icon. Village markets accept Gazi horsemen, intimidate would-be skeptics. Economists later hail tokens as early war bond, monetary. Test of Wolves traders commuting between princes exploit arbitrage, swapping silver for copper at inflated ratios. Caravan gossip becomes market barometer when muleteers start singing Mem's token ballad. Isa knows Bursa's faith falters. Two skirmish symphony, Amasya strings, Bursa drums, Edirne horns, Battle of Ulabad Flats, 1403. Isa marched north. From Bursa, Mem slides west along Sakarya Valley. Fog-laden dawn muffles troop footfalls. An accidental SMR. Mem's scouts jingle goat bell decoys on Far Ridge, tricking Isa into wheeling cavalry prematurely. Ambush arrows hiss a FFVA from Reed Thicket. Isa's line buckles, retreats 9 kilometers. Camp musicians convert panicked goat bells into mournful Zerna dirge. Treaty of Gallipoli. Cocktail hour 1403. Meanwhile, Suleiman courts Byzantine. Emperor Manuel II with feasts heavy on honeyed chestnut, light on open war. Treaty grants Suleiman free passage across Bosporus via imperial galleys. In return, he promises tribute in hand, delivers copy of Nicopolis ransom receipts as proof of solvency. Manuel sips pomegranate wine, thinking longer term but signing. Short term, Suleiman ferries 20,000 troops into Anatolia, capturing Bursa suburbs while Isa still licking wounds. Bursa ulema weigh urban bombardment risk. In secret council, they open North Gate at dawn. Suleiman's banner enters quietly, no siege, only swap of coin masters. Isa's eclipse homeless. Isa flees toward Kastamonu, disguised as felt cap peddler. Legend says shepherd dog recognizes. Son of Royal Musk, barks alerting village militia. Isa captured, executed near a Bant leak silver tulip coin buried with him under pine root. First shard removed from Imperial Mosaic. 3. The Romelli Pendulum brothers reversed. Suleiman now holds both Bursa and Edirne, yet absentee rulership breeds cracks. Balkan vassals feel neglected. Tax collectors slack. Janissaries gripe over delayed stipends while palace chefs serve peacock twice weekly. Musa Kilibi, imprisoned earlier by Suleiman as spare part, escapes via fish barrel smuggled onto Danube raft. River fog cloaks freedom. Osman Gazi disgruntled by courtly excess rally around Musa, son of Thunderbolt, echo of Bay Valor. Musa's bridge sabotage 1408. Musa targets Suleiman's supply artery. Yeni Kokru from Chapter 3. Under moonless night, his sappers coat pilings with boar fat and ignite pitch-soaked cattail bundles whoosh. Marble crumbles, arch collapses, supply wagons detour 40 kilometers. Suleiman curses. Drafts repair levy. Further alienates locals. 4-2 front pressure, Memd and Musa tag team. Without meat dot, although cousins in strategy. Memd and Musa never. Formally ally. Their coordination is negative space maneuvering. Each exploits the other's distractions. Memd seizes Ankara citadel back from Timur's appointed governor. Musa besieges Edirne, severing Suleiman's continental anchor. Battle of Kismedian, 1410. Suleiman rides north to relieve Edirne. Janissaries march tired, wages 3 months late. Musa's archers perched among olive groves on Golden Horn outskirts. Rain shafts, Suleiman's scouts desert mid-battle. Suleiman killed by arrow, chronicles dispute angle. His body draped in silk, buried at Bursa next to father's unmarked cedar board. Second shard removed. Mosaic fewer but sharper pieces. 5 Musa versus Memd mirror match and fogged up Musa. Now crowns himself Sultan of Romelli, reminting Aki Rid of Greek legend. Edirne markets cheer, then sulk as Musa raises taxes to fund new army. Bridges repaired, but tolls doubled. Balkan Bays whisper, we swapped Peacock for Iron Fist. They send envoys to Mehmed and Amasya, promising allegiance if spared harsh levies. Mehmed marched west. At Cumrulu, 1413, Fog Blankets Valley. Both armies stalemate midday. Mehmed releases messenger pigeons fitted with tiny bells. Birds fly above. Musa lines, bells ring, enemy archers look up, losing focus. Mehmed's cavalry charges through fog. Janissary volleys follow. Musa wounded, carried into forest. Found later by woodcutter, refuses capture. Reputedly falls on own blade. Final shard clinks out of bowl. Only Mehmed holds handle, 6 Mehmed the Rustitcher. From shards to single crescent, divan of compromised men summon surviving Rumeli. Anatolian and Balkan notables to Edirne Olive Court. Seats arranged in circle. No one's back to throne because no throne present Mehmed stands. He offers debt amnesty, tax-frees 1 harvest cycle, and reinstates Byzantine clergy privileges. Janissaries gain overdue pay plus bonus copper pull tidy, yes, but symbolic restoration of order. AMASY, a code draft legal scholars assemble. Draft of Kananaim I Ali Osman, codifying land for service timber system, clarifying tax rights, and outlawing forced church conversions. Mehmed reviews clauses while calligrapher copies onto lamb parchment. Hey hums dervish sicker, fingertips drumming table tap. Tap. Steady again, coin unification new Aki struck. A verse tigra of Mehmed Kilibi Sultan. Reverse verse from Quran. He brings the scattered together. Silver purity restored to 92%. Merchants test bite, smile gingerly. Currency becomes sonic beacon of stability. Ring again crisp ting. Across Anatolia markets, .7 cultural silhouettes, Rumi poetry, and Balkan. Lutes. Interregnum scars inspire art. Bektashi poets compose shattered crescent quatrains, likening word shards to print shards. In Balkan taverns, lutenist craft. Ballad, 4 brothers, 1 dawn. Melody modulates from minor to major by final verse, symbolizing reunification. Audience exhales collective sigh rustle of cloak hems on tavern bench. 8 epilogue vacant throne filled, yet shadow learned. Mehmed's coronation in Bursa, 1413, occurs under repaired green moss dome. Call to prayer echoes balanced between Anatolian timbre and Balkan overtones. Scribes note thunder absent. Instead, soft rainfall patters on courtyard marble plick. Plick, washing dust without flood. Mehmed orders cedar board, inscribed with all 4 brothers' names fixed inside moss portico. A caution, crescent strong when single, brittle when quartered. Writers carry facsimile to provincial judges. Merchants copy motto onto ledger covers. Motto mutates into lullaby mothers. Hum to restless children, though we promised no literal sleep talk. Closing exhale shards. Settled into mosaic dot, exhale 6 counts air smells of wet cedar and cooling coin dyes. Empire no longer bowl of clinking. Fragments. Mehmed's steady hand reglazes cracks with silver grout. Next chapter weaves Murad II's twin crescents of war and diplomacy, where Varna's roar will test this new forged unity. Chapter 6. The restitching fresh rain polishes the green stone courtyards of Bursa until each flagstone mirrors the early morning sky, a patchwork of pearl and slate. Mehmed Kilibi, newly crowned yet already nicknamed Kuruku Padissa, the restorer, stands barefoot on the damp mosaic, toes curling against cold grout. Beneath the repaired dome of the green mosque he hears only muted drizzle tick, tick, a gentler percussion than the hoof thunder that rattled Anatolia. During the Interregnum, Chapter 5, where his brothers clashed, Mend aspires to weave, pull frayed bailics out of border shadows, knot them into one imperial textile resilient enough to survive the next compass. 1. Inventory of the frayed and imperial envoy's logbook compiled. 3 weeks after coronation lists the state of Anatolia like a tailor's damage report. Karamanids, stubborn wool, shrinks when pressured. Controls Konya Plateau and mint at Lorinde. Germian, fine silk, edges unraveling. Nominally vassal, yet flirts with crusader corsairs and Aegean ports. Candor, thick felt hugging Black Sea gold trade. Steadfast but bristles. At taxation, Mentesi and Aden, cotton weft dotted with pirate salt. Maritime fleets raid Venetian convoys. Dalgadir and Ramadan, goat hair threads stitching tourist passes. Nominal Mamluk clients. The Ottoman loom currently holds only warp threads, Bursa's mint, Edirne's council, and the Janissary Corps nursing bruises from civil war. Memd must shuttle across these warps without snapping them. 2. The golden shuttle diplomacy wrapped in brocade Memd dispatches 2 caravans rather than 10 battalions. First caravan to Karaman carries gold brocaded textiles from Bursa looms, the patterns deliberately echoing Seljuk 8-point stars due to Karamanid lineage. Gift arrives during Konya Spring Festival when minstrels recite epics to crowds. Fingering prayer beads. Karamanid Bey Ali admires fabric, finds sultan's letter sewn into hem. Threads remember they were once separate fibers. Subtext. Autonomy possible, but free invite shears. Ali hesitates. Treasurer notes Ottoman silver purity back above 90%. Merchants vote with purse ease of Bursa coin lures traders to Ottoman customs. Karaman agrees to neutrality. Pact annual tribute denominated in Angora wool bolts second caravan sails Aegean currents to Mentes Beylik. Holds brim with olive oil amphory and iron anchors. Message: Thai fleets to commerce, not raiding. Ottoman admiral projects shared customs revenue if pirates retire. Mentes begs time. Memd grants, but positions galleys at Gulf of Kos as silent guarantors. 3 loom of arms selective force as needle the Germian full Germian Bey Jakob. 2 delays tribute, wagering that Ottoman forces too thin after civil war. Memd responds with cavalry that canters rather than charges show of mobility, not slaughter. They circle Kotaya wheat fields, trampling only perimeter rows, and agricultural. Underline, we can cut supply without cutting throats. Jakob capitulates within 4 days, ceding mint dies in exchange for retirement stipend paid and timber revenue. Timber knights immediately repair irrigation ditches. Wheat output rebounds next harvest, stitching province firmly to center, the pirate. Snip when Aegean corsairs seize Venetian sugar barge under Mentese flag. Memd instructs Admiral Cully Bey to intercept at dawn haze. Ottoman galleys chain oars, silent, close range, bored with blunted blades to capture crew alive. Prisoners, paraded through Milas marketplace, not executed. Instead offered enlistment in Ottoman Navy or resettlement as olive press laborers. Majority choose wage over water grave. Piracy drops 40% by year's end. Merchants nickname Memd Sultan of Soft Nuts. 4 legal warp Kanan as loom frame Memd commissions jurist Molla Fenari to consolidate provincial customs. Into unified canon name Iram. Draft divides taxes into 3 tiers: field tithe, caravan toll, port duty, each sheared from separate cloth but braided at treasury door. Beys allow regional surcharges only with divan consent, wall copies engraved. On the cedar tablets trimmed thin wood grain visible like silk ribbing. Tablets shipped to provincial qadis. Edges painted with indigo stripe signifying authenticity. Villagers rub fingertips along stripe, murmuring, "New law feels smooth." 5 cultural weft poets, painters, and plural voices the Masya Atelier Mend. Sponsors Atelier, where Greek icon painters, Persian miniaturists, and Turkic weavers share courtyard. Calligrapher Kahit pens Masnavi describing loom where shuttle hum matches heart rate. Greek master applies egg tempera halo above metaphor. Weaver chooses dye gradient echoing both. Artwork presented at Bursa Festival stands as textile illumination fusion. Multilingual crowd gasps. Chronicler notes applause resembling distant rain on domes, patter patter. Dervish caravan. Chur Bektashi dervishes form traveling yayin caravan singing quatrains at markets from Tokat to Antalya. Refrain. Stitch east to west, north to south. Rinse thread and justice. Lyrics simple, memorized by porters who hum while loading grain sacks. Melody becomes commercial jingle for unity. 6 Black Sea hem candor bargain candor Beylik controls Sinop harbor and timber needed for galleys. Memd invites Bey to enter, presents him with ironwood tiller engraved with dual tugger symbol of shared shipbuilding. Treaty candor supplies mast logs. Ottoman pays in salt and spices, both flag vessels with crescent anchor logo. Partnership stitches northern hem into imperial cloak. 7 Mamluk seam southern border basting tours Beyliks, Dulkadir, and Ramadan serve as buffer between Ottoman and Mamluk realms. Rather than slash, Memd-based stitches border. Mary's daughter Selkuk Hatton to Dulkadir Prince. Offers Ramadan Bey silk tax exemption if he patrols caravan route for bandits. Mamluk Sultan registers mild protests, but trade flow steady. Pilgrim caravan secure. Needle passes fabric without tearing. 8, weaving the inner lining janissary. Reforms janissaries battle weary after interregnum. Pay arrears sated, yet morale threadbare. Memd introduces silk stipend small bolt of raw silk per capita annually. Not luxury. Silk thread ensures each soldier can barter for undergarment or wedding dowry. Regiment tailors begin stitching. Identical crimson lining into blue uniform collars visual token of unity. Parade ground glints red flashes when collars flip in sun, reasserting discipline without extra pikes. 9 Final Knot Karaman Campaign 1415. Karaman neutrality. Pact phrase when Bey Ali taxes Ottoman caravans crossing Cilicia Plateau. Memd marches but halts 10 kilometers outside Konya. Sets up loom camp. 500 portable looms clacking day and night, leaving white-green banners embroidered with 8-point stars. Karaman townsfolk visit out of curiosity. Traders buy cloth. Treasury. Coins flow into Ottoman camp rather than city shops. Economic section unnerves Bey Ali. He negotiates treaty reaffirming previous terms plus cession of Akir fortress. Mend signs, tax looms, leaves not a scorch mark on Karaman wheat. Kanya craftsmen secretly copy loom design, boosting local income win-win. 10 Inspection. Of the tapestry by 1416, Ottoman ledger lists 27 provinces paying tithe at standardized rate. 7 maritime ports under unified customs, and 5 beyliks rebranded as Sanjak districts. Map no longer frayed patchwork. It resembles symmetrical carpet whose medallion is the twin capital axis BURSA-EDIRNE dot at spring divan. Memd unfurls giant wall carpet woven in Amasya atelier. Center shows Tegra inside 8-point star. Borders display stylized bridges, looms, vines, Scholars remark absence of swords and imagery. Sultan smiles, replies, steel sits behind tapestry. Need not decorate front. Janissaries chuckle, softly steel indeed polished, but sheathed as trust endures, closing breath loom. Silent, fabric strong, exhale 6 counts. Smells cedar, ink, lanolin, a hint of indigo. The Ottoman cloak, once rent by civil war, now drapes Anatolia and Rumeli in continuous fiber. With loom quiet, next ruler will test tinsel strength against thunder from European crusades and internal. Scholar debates alike. Chapter 7 will usher Murad II's twin crescents. Varna's roar in a long campaign where threads are stretched across spears yet again. Chapter 7. Twin Crescents of Conquest. When Murad II signs his accession decree in 1421, the ink is still tacky on his father Mehmed, the first final budget. The restorer left a restitched cloak, but Murad inherits the task of testing its seams against clashing swords and frostbitten marshes. Chroniclers will frame his reign as 2 crescents, one drawn eastward over Anatolia's feuding Beyliks, the other arcing across the Balkan sky toward Varna's thunder. Together they trace a lunar glyph of conquest whose light alternates between silvery diplomacy and iron clamor, breathe in 4 counts taste. Forged coal mingled with pine resin at Edirne's arsenal. Hold 2, exhale 6, hearing distant kettle drums. Echo up the Maritza Valley like heartbeats inside a bronze helm. One first crescent Anatolian knot, loosened, retied. The Karaman re-ignition barely a month after Mem's funeral. Karamanid Bey Ibrahim tests Ottoman focus, seeking Bursa's satellite town Izenik. Murad, only 19, answers with a cedar arrow strategy. Swift cavalry column rides. South undersparsed banners, each lance tip wrapped in cedar oil rags. At dusk they fire shafts into Karamanid siege hoardings. Cedar burned, smokeless yet pungent, sowing panic. Iznik relieved. I, Ibrahim, sues for truce, sending pair of Seljuk blue stallions as apology. Antalya Seagate, next maritime Beylik Maintesi, resents new Ottoman customs inspectors. Murad dispatches Admiral Hamza Bey with modest galley squadron. Instead of bombardment, Hamza anchors offshore and Project Sur recitations via copper trumpets verse reverberates over water like rolling tide. Town elders negotiate customs charter within 48 hours. Seagate stitched backed-up by 1424. Anatolia Atlas shows contiguous Ottoman colors stretching from Black Sea to Mediterranean. Treasury notes rise in silk duty. Janissary payroll stabilizes. Divan scribes dub Murad, Sultan of the Western Loom, but warn the eastern horizon glows with timorous embers. 2-second crescent Balkan stormfront gathers. Wallachian needle pricks. Voivod Vlad II Dracul flirts with dual vassalage. Tribute 1 year, raids Danube ferry the next. Murad responds with Danube flotilla agreement commercial toll reduced for Wallachian grain barges if fort taxes paid. In advance. Vlad agrees, but Hungarian regent John Honedy agitates crusader zeal, promising Holy League subsidies to any prince resisting crescent. Pope Eugenius IV's encyclical flamed out in 1440. Papal bull urges Christendom to reclaim Balkans. Venice, Burgundy, the Papal States, and Polish-Lithuanian Kingdom answer. Murad's envoys in Ragusa report coalition forging at Buda. Edirne War Council drafts twin front directive. Garrisons Midarevo, fortress on Danube Bend while reinforcing. Anatolian frontier against Karamanid relapse. 2 crescents must hold simultaneously. Failure on either arc snaps the whole bow. 3 prelude to Varna, the long campaign. 1443 to 44. Hunyadi's winter strike, autumn 1443. Hunyadi and King Władysław III crossed Danube with 35,000, aiming straight for Ottoman heartland Viennese. Murad rallies 12,000 Sipadi plus Janissaries. Snow arrives early, roads glaze. At Konovica Pass, Ottoman cavalry struggles on icy marl. Hunyadi's heavy riders break lines, capturing Murad's treasury vizier. Ottoman columns retreat through Sofia to Edirne. Winter wind howls down Balkan saddles like neither side has heard before. Who? Clang, unpaid Janissaries mutter. Edirn, E-War Council. The silk and steel reset, rather than despair. Murad uses retreat to restructure army pay. Issues. Varna Aki, alloy containing trace nickel. Harder edge reducing coin clipping. Coin's ring ping impresses Janissaries. He summons Anatolian Tamarians, promises pasture tax cuts. Meanwhile, diplomats lure Serbian despot Horak Brankovic with returned castles for neutrality. Slicing Crusader supply chain. By spring 1444. Hunyadi's army at Tritz. Horses starve. Wallachian auxiliaries desert. Murad opens peace feeler via Venetian intermediaries, offering 10-year truce at Szeged, return captured prisoners, annual tribute tastefully reduced. Pope's delegate countersigns. Hunyadi reluctantly accepts. Murad, fatigued, abdicates throne. To 12-year-old son Mehmed II, retreating to Manisa for contemplative rest. But truce ink barely dries when Eugenius IV nullifies with new crusade bull. Hunyadi, urged by papal envoy Giuliano Cesarini, remustering 30,000 for Danube crossing. Ottoman Regency panics. Young Mehmed II telegrams father, "If you are Sultan, come. If I am Sultan, I summon my father." For Varnaror on the Black Sea shore, the 10th of November 1444. Dawn alignment. Murad arrives by forced march, banners crackling like parchment in sea gust. Ottoman line forms crescent, Rumeli troops left, Anatolian right, Janissary corps behind field palisade. Behind them Black Sea's briny breath. Before them, Crusader cross banners flutter. Sunlight glints off Polish king's gilded armor, dazzling enough that a Janissary archer reflexively squints. The V-shaped trap. Murad feigns weakness on wings, pulling flanks into concave. The Crusader cavalry charges center. Janissaries plant. Stakes hold until flanks envelop. Battles seesaw until mid-afternoon, when King Władysław, egged by zeal, leads reckless push at Ottoman pavilion. Horse trips and captured wagon rut. Janissary captain Hizir Aka decapitates king with single. Scimitar Arkschneck. Polish banners droop. Morale implodes. Hunyadi's calls muffled by rout dust. Crusader dead counted 10,000. Ottoman losses half. Evening tide laps Varna Beach stained crimson, then fades into whisper. Murad orders proper burial for kings. Knight's gesture that awes captured pages, later journaled in Krakow Annals. 5 Diplomatic echo twin crescents glow, and Twilight. Victory seals Balkan trajectory. Serbia becomes vassal. Wallachia pledges tribute. Albania under Skanderbeg remains lone thorn. Murad, weary, re-abdicates to Mehmed II, but retains advisory weight. Varna's roar echoes across Europe, chilling further crusade talk for decade. Varna. Coin and mosquito mint strikes commemorative Aki. Obverse crescent embracing star. Reverse inscription. Truth subdues arrogance at Varna. Murad funds Marathi mosque in Bursa. Foundation stone laid with captured Crusader mace, embedded inside iron side, repurposed as structural memory. 6. The long campaign aftermath marched without drums. Hunidi regroups. Ottoman frontier garrisons. Brace for guerrilla jabs. Murad avoids pitched battle. Constructs Palenka timber forts astride river fords, each garrison rotating monthly to prevent boredom mutiny. Supply lines rerouted through fresh paved carks roads, boosting village. Markets, traders applaud, humming tune that blends Balkan flute with Anatolian oud. Cultural fusion crescents reshape daily life. Pastry shops sell kaifli baklava, half-moon croissant glazed with rose syrup. 7 stewardship and succession threads dot in final years. Murad focuses on scholarly patronage, invites mathematician. Ali Kuku to Edirne Observatory, finances translation of Ptolemy's Almagest into Ottoman Turkish. Crescent of war complemented by crescent of knowledge. When he passes in 1451, Janissaries march silent vigil. Kettle drums remain covered, axes inverted. Mehmed II reclaims throne older, steelier, vision fixed on Constantinople. Twin crescents transform into single comet aimed at marble ramparts. Closing breath roar subdued to Emberham. Exhale 6. Counts that air now a mosaic of sea salt, forjash, and library vellum. Murad II's arcs, one east knitting Beyliks, one west roaring at Varna complete Ottoman skyglyph, illuminating how diplomacy, siegecraft, and patience can align under twin moons. Next chapter will plunge into Murad's heir, Mehmed II, conqueror, shadowed rampart, and the cannons that will redraw empires. Chapter 8, Shattered Rampart Night, folds over the Bosphorus like ink spilling down a silk scroll. On the European shore, the triple walls of Constantinople Théodosian guardians, unbreached for a millennium, stand hushed, their limestone blocks silvered by moonlight. Meanwhile, across the strait at Rumeli Hisari, 21-year-old Mehmed 2 strokes a bronze cannon barrel, as if greeting a restless stallion. Tomorrow, he murmurs, voice a low rumble sinking with the strait's tidal pulse. We teach marble to tremble. Breathe in 4 counts, taste gunpowder soot seasoned with rosewater from camp kitchens. Hold 2. Exhale 6, hearing faint clank of forge hammers setting rivets under torch glow. The siege about to unfold is not merely stone against shot. It is calligraphy against cracks, mathematics against geometry, ambition against antiquity. 1, blueprint of shadow, preparations beyond perimeter. Vision. Fortress twin mandibles, months. Earlier, Mehmed raised twin fortresses, Rumeli Hisari on the European bank, and Nadalu Hisaric opposite, just controlling Bosphorus traffic. Venetian galleys testing passage felt cannon roar whip salt spray into needles. A Genoese merchant recorded in logbook. Strait now snarls like chained tiger. Ottoman scribes tally customs tolls. Each intercepted grain ship denies Constantinople. One more bread day. The urban cannon foundry. Inside Edirne's old wool bazaar. Architect Saruka Pasa converts stalls into foundry floor. Hungarian engineer Urban oversees bronze melts, his deep voice echoing off vaulted ceilings, baritone metronome guiding bellows crews. 6 mammoth pieces cast. The largest christened basilica by Urban, but soldiers call it Lahi. The Monarch, barrel length 8 meters, bore width 76 centimeters. Shot weight 680 kilograms. Range 2 kilometers of dread. When lancers escort Lahi toward Constantinople, peasants gather roadside. Wheels grown under oak spindles, each half rotation uttering wooden sigh, uhu like ancient trees remembering root days. Logistics of thunder. 60,000 soldiers under pay. Janissaries, Saipashi cavaliers, Azap infantry, Balkan vassal levies, 90 oxen hauling Lahi, 1,200 carpenters laying temporary bridges over Thracian marshes, 30,000 arrows, 14,000 shields, 3,000 mantlets stitched from camel hide, 400 muezzins rehearsing call so that azan will resound over cannon echo, maintaining rhythm of discipline. 2 marble curtain drawn, Constantine the XI's final vigil. Byzantine Emperor Constantine the XIth Paleologos surveys walls from Golden Gate rampart. He counts defenders, 7,000 Byzantines, 2,000 Genoese under Giovanni Giustiniani, 3,000 mercenaries. Grain stores low, morale brittle, yet luminous under cathedral candles. Hagia Sophia's dome glint saffron in last pre-siege sunset. Choirs chant slow troparion whose echo swirls like incense within buttresses. Constantine pens letter to Memd. The city entrusted by God cannot be surrendered. Memd replies with Koran verse on destiny and mankind's effort. Pen strokes. Cut diplomatic bridge. Only artillery will converse now. Point 3 opening barrage April. 6-1453. The thunder signature. Kahi's fuse lit at dawn. Cannon throat belches flame tongue. Shockwave rattles tint canvas miles away. Stone-shot arcs in slow majesty trailing. Ash ribbon then slams outer wall near gate of Carisius. Marble blocks fracture. Dust plume rises like inverted waterfall. Byzantine gunners answer with smaller bombards. Iron spheres bounce off Ottoman mantlet ridge. Carving divots, but no doubt. Firing cadence every 3 hours for Lahi. Cooling time. Smaller bombards rotate at half-hour rhythm, a drumline of iron hail. Mem's field scribes mark impact coordinates on parchment maps. Gunners adjust elevation by finger widths. Tunnels and towers dot like ink. Sappers dig toward base of Mesoteichian, the mid-wall. They burn resin torches that sputter but emit minimal smoke, allowing quiet excavation. Above ground, siege towers. Nicknamed Karakalisi, black towers trundle forward, clad in oxhide soaked brine to resist Greek fire. Ladders inside rattle-clack anticipation strapped in wood. 4 sea chest chains. Fireships and golden horn flank. The boom chain Byzantines stretch massive chain across Golden Horn Harbor, blocking approach. Ottoman Admiral Boltaoglu. Suleiman Pasha attempts frontal galley assault, repelled by Greek fire siphoned from brass nozzles. Deck timbers smolder. Sea hisses quenching pitch. Overland ship rollers Memd orders audacious. Bypass. 67 light galleys hauled over Galata. Ridge on grease logs. Night of April 22nd, oxen pull, sailors chant, Ya Allah, Hu. With each tug, iron shod wheels, great stone skirt sparks flicker like wayward stars. Genoese neutrals in Goleta watch in awe, scribbling diary entries comparing vision to moving forest of masts. By dawn, galleys splash into Golden Horn behind chain, turning harbor into Ottoman lake, floating forts and fire dikes. Bosphorus carpenters lash rafts topped with mantlets. Archers pepper sea walls, forcing defenders to thin rampart guard. Janissary musketeers wielding early two-fang fire from prow platforms. Lead balls ricochet, singing flat whistle through alleyways. 5 Giustiniani's sliver. Constantine's resolve. Genoese commander Giustiniani leads defense at St. Romanus Gate. He organizes wall repair with wooden beams, cotton bales, earth sacks, absorbing cannon shock. His presence sparks hope. Byzantine nobles call him Iron Graft in crumbling wall. May 12th. Lahi shot widens breach. Janissary vanguard charges, met by Giustiniani's shield wall. Clang symphony erupts. Sword spark. Crossbow bolts thunk cedar shields. Battle ebbs at dusk. Bodies carpet mud. Physicians triage by lantern glow oil fumes. Iron stink. 6 meteor shower. The 29th of May assault. Omen. Night May. 28. Cherry red crescent moon haloed by unusual corona. Byzantines recall prophecy. City falls when moon veiled. Ottoman imams interpret as divine sanction. Murmurs ripple both camps. Prayer and drum at first light. Azan lifts across Ottoman lines. Overlapping kettle drums, dumb blood tempo. Inside Hagia Sophia, Constantine leads final liturgy. Latin and Greek clergy reconcile before altar. Shared chalice, shimmering dot, triple wave attack one. Azap skirmishers rush breach. Absorb arrow rain, exhaust defenders. 2. Anatolian infantry storm ladders, capture outer parapet, south flank. Many fall, but foothold clamps. 3. Janissary corps surge through central breach under green banner. Mem's white horse behind. Giustiniani wounded by cannon fragment. Morale fissures. Constantine throws off imperial regalia. Fights as common. Soldier vanishes in melee. Legend says marble angels entomb him alive, awaiting liberation. Blue dawn turns to gold as banners swap. Crescent star rises atop Augustin. Memd enters city via gate of St. Romanus midday. Orders troops to spare scholars, artisans, and libraries. Some plunder occurs 72 hours custom, but Mem's guard patrol restricts excess. He walks to Hagia Sophia, scatters handful of earth. On mosaic floor, symbolizing humility, then commissions conversion to Hagia Sophia Kami. Christian frescoes plastered yet preserved beneath lime. A silent trust for posterity. 7 administrative metamorphoses. From Queen of Cities to Capital of Crescent. Ladder of titles Memd adds epithet Kaiser Iram. Caesar of Rome 2. Tagra, minted on new gold sultani coin. Bureaucrats translate into Greek decrees, assuring property rights for Genoese and Galata. Commerce resumes within week. Spice caravans reroute via Edirne-Istanbul corridor. Topkapi blueprint conqueror. Chooses ridge overlooking Golden Horn for new palace complex. Topkapi Sarai. Court architect Aladdin lays plan. Interlocking courtyards echoing ringed canals of Atlantis chapters earlier, albeit in limestone and tile. Marble from sacked Latin monasteries recycled as column drums. Craftsmen of multiple tongues hammer. Side-by-side clang in polyglot harmony. END, ERU, and school within. Palace emerges enduring elite academy, selecting gifted boys from Devshirme Levy. Curriculum spans algebra, Persian poetry, siege artillery, trigonometry. Mem's vision. Blade tempered by verse, 8 echoes and repercussions. Christendom tremor news races along. Adriatic. Venetian Senate declares emergency ship levy. Pope Nicholas V drafts crusade bull, yet European kings fatigued. Renaissance scholars in Florence pen elegies for Queen Constantinople, but printers circulate Greek manuscripts, escaping city, fueling humanist boom. Fall of city, ironically. Seeds European reawakening. Ottoman confidence surge conquest. Reinforces legitimacy of centralized canon. Tax registers compile for newly annexed Rumelia Eyalet. Shipyards in Golden Horn double output. Lahi cannons disassembled, studied, recast for future sieges Negroponte. OTRA and TO. Closing resonance. Marble silence shattered, then replastered exhale 6 counts. tasting dust of centuries, unsettled yet strangely fragrant with blooming lilac along palace gardens. Constantinople's marble silence fractured by bronze thunder, yet city's heart resumes beat under new anthem azan layering over seagull cries and market haggles. While shadows still linger, but sun now rises behind crescent crown minarets, elongating empire's dawn. Next chapter will unfurl Bayezid I's marble court and hidden renaissance, where ink will duel intrigue and minarets brush renaissance clouds. Chapter 9. Marble court, hidden renaissance, soft sunrise guilds, Topkapi's marble colonnades, tinting each slab with blush hues that vanish as quickly as they arrive, daily reminder that stone, like empire, thrives on brief illuminations. Sultan Bayezid II, eldest son of Mehmed the Conqueror, steps onto the third courtyard terrace. He carries neither sword nor cannon schematics. Instead, he cradles a folio of poems copied in elegant Nastolake script. Under his rule 148-11512, Istanbul morphs from siege forge into a quiet forge of minds, Rim's own hidden renaissance. Scholars whisper that Bayezid's reign maps a marble court on the surface and a diamond lattice beneath. Jurisprudence, astronomy, medicine, and art intersecting like unseen geometry between minarets. Breathe in 4 counts, savor smell of freshly ground lapis pigment from Palace Studio. Hold 2. Exhale 6, hearing subdued rustle of manuscript pages turning under dome ceilings where echoes taper into scholarly. Hush, 1 inheritance of an expanding library. Mehmed II's conquests endowed, Bayezid with sprawling treasury and multi-ethnic bureaucracy, but also with pending military campaigns against Mamluks and Hungarians. Bayezid hesitates to wield the empire's full martial weight. Instead, he sharpens administrative quills. His first decree enlarges Darul Qutb Palace Library, annexing chamber once reserved for ceremonial armor. Curators retrieve curios from crates, Byzantine gospel illuminations, Persian star laces, Sephardic philosophical tractates, Ilkhanid miniature scrolls. Cataloging these heterogeneous tomes becomes Bayezid's metaphorical census of empire's intellect that the copper-ink census court registrar Selazad Mustafa conducts inventory of 16,000 volumes, tagging each spine with minuscule stamped copper plates, AR for Arabic theology, FA for Farsi poetry, GR for Greek mathematics, EP for Ecclesiastic Byzantium, and newly minted IO for Ibero-Ottoman, anticipating influx of Iberian manuscripts soon to arrive, 2 Alhambras echo Iberian refugees, and Sephardic Surge. 1492 Edict of Expulsion, when Queen Isabella decrees expulsion of Jews from Spain. Bayezid dispatches fleet of galleys under Admiral Kemal Reis to ferry refugees. Chroniclers note 200,000 arrive over 3 years, carrying printing press know-how, silk dye recipes, and metallurgical secrets of silver filigree. Bayezid quips to viziers, "You call Ferdinand wise, yet he impoverishes his realm to enrich." Mine. Haski printing bay Sephardic printer David ibn Namias sets up press in Istanbul's Haski district. Ottoman court issues special permit. Hebrew and Ladino texts exempt from Arabic printing ban, provided censors approve. Within decade, presses roll out medical treatises like Sefer Refute and astronomical tables updated with Taqi al-Din's data. Paper shipments from Bursa mills triple. Coffeehouse readers savor smell of fresh ink while debating lunar parallax. 3 Marble Court aesthetics architect Mirhireddin, while Bayezid's brother Sem roams Europe seeking papal backing for claim to throne. Bayezid channels rivalry into imperial architecture competition. He appoints Mimar Harridan, a disciplined yet whimsical architect, to expand Bayezid Mosque complex, completed 1505. Design resists flamboyance. Colonnades utilize reused Theodosian capitals, but invert acanthus orientation, symbolizing Islamic reinterpretation of Roman order. Forecourt fountain carved from single marble block. Water trickle orchestrated too. Mimic soft reed flute cadence. Bird hospital and soup kitchen complex includes Daru. Skifa Hospital and Gurbahain Ilaklakan Stork Hospice. Surgeons performed cataract operations using Indian steel lancets, while patients reclined to mosaic aviary frescoes. Storks migrating along Bosphorus find sanctuary on tiled domes. Bayezid funds annual fish allowance. Environmental stewardship thus weaves into spiritual architecture green conscience between white minarets. 4. Soft power diplomacy Caucasian and Balkan threads. Crimean-Khanate alliance, recognizing Black Sea as grain artery. Bayezid offers Crimean-Khanate naval wood imports. At half tariff if Tatar corsairs cease raids on Greek islands. Treaty ratified at Kef with handshake over bread, sprinkled in salt ancient steppe custom. Ottoman chartmakers redraw shipping lanes safe from piracy. Wheat prices stabilize in Galata quarter. Albanian chess match in Balkans. Skanderbeg's revolt. Ends with his death, 1468, but remnants persist. Bayezid chooses Karat, extends tax amnesty to Albanian Highland clans if they provide cedar lumber for imperial worship masts. Amnesty is conditional on opening madrasa seats to bilingual scholars. 2 decades later, Albanian-Turkish dictionary compiled in Vlor Madrasi, bridging languages previously at crossbow tension. 5 Science between Minarets Observatory, Madrasi, and the ecliptic pulpit. Gallop Tower, Meridian astronomer Ali Kuku's student Miriam Kelly B sets meridian line atop Gallop Tower, using Brown's quadrant to refine longitude correction from Ptolemaic charts by 11 arc minutes. Sailors referencing updated tables note voyage to Alexandria shortens by half day. Reducing citrus spallage trade applauds. FATIH and Bayezid Madrasi curriculum split by Zaid reforms curriculum pairs Fiqh lectures with Euclidean geometry. Views jurisprudence and logic as twin rails. Student recitation pattern. Memorize hadith. Solve proportion theorem. Chant Arabic poetic meter. Demonstrate herbal remedy ratio. Scholars call it silk and ink pedagogy, where spiritual refinement and empirical measurement interlace. 6 Fiscal prudence and court etiquette. Grand Vizier Hatem. Ali Pasha institutes custom, where viziers present annual budget inside. Silken pouch rather than jeweled coffer, symbolizing frugality. Court banquets replace peacock roasts with stuffed vine leaves. Leftover cuisines donated to Imarat kitchens nightly. Chronicler Tursun Beg notes treasury surplus peaks at 2.5 million gold sultani by 1511, partly funding coastal fort upgrades without raising land tax, a rarity applauded by Timur Sepahis. Music quorum Rubiazid. A trained nay flutist decrees council sessions cannot adjourn on note of discord. If viziers argue unresolved, palace ensemble plays 4-note ras motif. Members breathe, reset tone, resume debate. Policy dubbed nay ceasefire. Diplomats visiting from Safavid Iran copy practice, calling it Ottoman hush. 7 shadows. Of revolt Kokulu, uprising, 1511. Despite cultured facade, Anatolia's east simmers. Turkmen followers of Safavid, leaning mystic Kakulu rebel, donned in red headgear, Kizilbash. Their march torches silkworm farms near Tokat economic Achilles' heel. Bayezid, aging and cautious, dispatches Hatem Ali Pasha, imperial armies. Quash revolt after fierce canyon ambush, but victory costs Vizier's life and reveals Sultan's dwindling decisiveness. After revolt, Crown Prince Selim, later the Grim, argues for preemptive east campaigns. Bayezid prefers scholarship to saber. Dynastic tension tightens like drawn bowstring between book pages. 8 letters, lutes, and legacy. Hakim Sinan's anatomical atlas Jewish physician Sinan B. Isa compiles Ottoman language. Anatomy using woodcut illustrations reminiscent of Vesalian. Visuals yet infused with Arabic anatomical nomenclature. Bayezid finances 300 copy print run. Students at Bursa Madrasi debate humoral theory versus Galenic. Blood circulation models while sipping saffron tea. Poetic imports. Bayezid invites Persian poet Ali Sur Nevka. Though Nevka dies before journey, his manuscripts arrive. Ottoman poets emulate Chagatai Magdalene, spawning hybrid literary style evident in Haile's verses praising minaret shadows. Gliding over marble like calligrapher's stroke. 9 Twilight transfer marble to iron once. More. By 1512 Selim presses father to abdicate, alleging indecision against Safavid threat. On April 24th, Bayezid boards galley bound for Dimatoka, resigned Tegra de Selim. Palace servants report Sultan crossing second courtyard, pausing to pluck stray rose petal off marble tile delicate gesture summarizing his reign. Within year, Bayezid dies in Thrace, buried at Istanbul's Bayezid complex he commissioned. Tomb epitaph. He bound ink to law, law to mercy, mercy to marble. Closing quiet pages, still turning beneath cannons primed anew. Exhale 6 counts ink aroma. Meets gun oil tang as Selim readies cannons. Bayezid's hidden renaissance glows within libraries and courtyards, even as empire pivots back to Iron Tempest. Next chapter will unfurl Selim's desert winds, holy cities, and the forging of An. Empire between scimitar and science. Chapter 10, Between Scimitar and Science, the dawn that crowns top copy on the 24th of April 1512 is not gentle. It scours like grit. Selim ibn Bayezid, later nicknamed Yavuz the Grim, finishes dawn prayer, strokes a beard scarcely flecked with gray, and accepts the sword of succession from the Haile Islam. Behind him, padded attendants carry 2 trunks, one packed with polished Kilish blades, the other with star charts and gunnery tables, copied from the late Bayezid II's library. The dual cargo foreshadows Selim's reign. Every desert column, every holy city procession will balance scimitar's shimmer against slide rule's precision. Breathe in 4 counts, taste coffee laced with cardamom wafting from palace kitchens. Hold 2, feel the static of tension humming along Janissary spear points. Exhale 6, listening to the low murmur of scribes already amending the imperial TUGHRA.1. Fractured frontiers, crescent faces east. Safavid flame on the horizon Shah. Ismail I of Persia fans millenarian zeal from Ardabal to Diyarbakir. His Kizilbash cavalry wear 12-gored red turbans, symbolic of 12 imams, and raid Ottoman border villages, spreading messianic verse. Selim reads intelligence dossiers compiled in Bayezid's quieter years ink trails predicting Safavid penetration of Anatolia's Alevi hinterlands. Where his father saw theological nuisance, Selim perceives existential threat. He drafts an order to muster Anatolian timber Sipahes and commissions, 200 bronze field pieces from Toffen Foundry, the cartographer's blade chief, Mapmaker Matraki Nasu overlays caravan routes onto Safavid raid maps, identifying choke passes in eastern Anatolia. Salim praises cartographic elegance, then scribbles kilish-shaped arrows across parchment-planned strike from Amasya through Erzincan toward Tabriz. Strategy, scimitar cut guided by compass.2 Chalderan gunpowder meets mysticism, the 23rd of August. 1514 closing parenthesis pre-battle Psalms on Plateau of Chalderan. Early morning mist licks volcanic rock. Janissary gun carriages sink axle deep, oxen teams heave. Muezzin calls ride crisp air while across valley, Kizilback drums pulse to Sufi dicker. Salim walks firing line, adjusts cannon distances using yardstick engraved with engraved taki. Alden logarithms. He quotes verse Y, prepare against them whatever you can of force. Then signals. Steel versus Salpeter-Safavid cavalry charges, lances upright, banners of peacock feathers rippling. Ottoman cannons discharge boom. Earth trembles, grape shot shears through lacquered shields. Kuzilback lines fragment. Janissaries advance, matchlock smoke curling into dawn. Shah Ismail, wounded, retreats to Tabriz, leaving silk tents, jeweled libraries. Critical imperial mint dies. Spoils of ink Salim captures Persian composite bows and manuscripts. Avicenna's Canon, Zij-i-Okhani tables, all chemical treatises. He sends canon physicians to translate Persian pharmacopoeia, ordering cross-reference with Sephardic medical texts. Scimitar's path thus delivers a trove of science. 3 Desert Wind corridor toward the Memluk heart, logistics through sand. And stone after consolidating Anatolia, Salim pivots southwest. Eyes on Memluk Sultanate controlling Syria and Egypt. Imperial quartermaster issues. Desert kit. Felt water skins lined with silver to reduce algae. Sun-bleached canvas awnings. Portable astrolabes for mirage-dense horizons. Artillery corps fashion sand sled chassis for medium cannons, greasing oak runners with rendered camel fat. Scholars debate heat coefficients. Gunners adjust powder ratios accordingly. Science literally slides across dunes. Battle of March. Tabik, the 24th of August 1516. North of Aleppo, Mamluk cavalry famed for Fursaya arts forms crescent line. Ottoman avant-garde feigns retreat, draws Mamluks into field preceded by cannons. Salvo rips plate armor. Janissaries unleash volley fire. Mamluk Sultan al-Shraf Kansu al-Ghuri dies amid chaos. Aleppo gates open next dawn. Salim enters. City, post and proclamation. Scholars of every tongue may resume their lessons. Only tyranny is exiled. Into Damascus astronomy and Hadith Damascus, ulema agreed. Salim with green banners citing prophetic tradition. Blessed is the writer who conquers Constantinia and Sham. Salim replies by endowing Suleiman Madrasa with captured Safavid astrolabes. Druze chronicler Ibn Tulin notes Ottoman soldiers enforce market discipline but pay for figs rather than requisition. Empire's scientific heartline extends deeper into Arab world. For Nile and Scimitar conquest of Egypt, January 1517. Ridani redoubt approaching Cairo. Salim's scouts identify natural ditch near Ridani. Mamluk Chuman Bey II fortifies with earthen breastworks. Ottoman engineers, using geometry treatise of Nicola Tartaglia, translated in Galata, align artillery to exploit ditches. Acoustic funnel blast concussion multiplies. Night assault breaches redoubt. Chuman Bey flees, later captured at Giza, executed beneath Bab Zulila. The Caliph's journey Salim meets titular Abbasid Caliph al-Mutawakkil III, descendant yet powerless figure. Ceremony at Al-Marj Garden transfers relics Prophet's mantle. Sword, standard to Salim. Ottoman chroniclers later present this as transference of caliphate, though degree of legitimacy debated. Nonetheless, Salim's authority now cloaked in spiritual sultan. The grain equation control of Egypt secures Nile grain. Logistics scribes compute reduction in bread price back in Istanbul by 9 aki per hundredweight. Population crowds markets. Chanting praises. Treasury invests a surplus in Tursun I Emire's shipyard expansion science powering seaborne SCIMITAR.5. Holy cities amber sand and quill. Hejaz expedition Sharif of Mecca pledges allegiance, dispatching golden keys of Kaaba. To Salim, Ottoman engineer Maimur Asim Ali designs Rivage el-Hermine, a survey of Meccan aqueduct faults. Stonemasons from Damascus repair Zamzam well roofing. Caravans from Anatolia now travel securely under Sur procession escorted by Janissary detachment. Along route, mathematicians chart star positions, refreshing Qibla tables for mosques as far north as Belgrade. Medina's dome maintenance, Salim funds lead sheet refurbishment of Prophet's Mosque Green Dome. Greek and Armenian metallurgists oversee alloy mixture to withstand desert thermodynamics. Cross-civilizational artisans in Islam's second holiest site exemplify science under scimitar shadow, yet pointing heavenward. 6 governance edge. Of Grim, heart of order. Provincial shuffle Salim reorganizes Syrian vilayets, appointing Lala Mustafa Pasha governor of Aleppo, instructing census and enumeration of WAQF land for madrasa stipends. Fiscal scribes adopt double entry bookkeeping taught by Sephardic accountants. Ledgers replicate columns copied from Venetian. Merchant science of numbers tamed for scimitar's purse. Janissary inspection Yav, wary of palace intrigue. Initiates surprise barracks audit. Weighs matchlock powder horns. Inspects uniform collars for crimson silk stripe, legacy of Bayezid II. Soldiers stiffen but respect fairness. Pay arrears cleared from Egyptian bullion, each coin biting crisp. 7 maps, medicines, and meteor counts. Piri Reis drafts the world edge navigator Piri Reis, nephew of Admiral Kamal Reis, compiles Kitab. Bari, Book of Maritime Lore. Salim sponsors parchment, lapis pigment, and leather lugs. Manuscript includes world chart showing Antilles, compiled from captured Spanish pilot note science derived from Scimitar's victories across waves. Bimaristan. Of Cairo Jewish Ottoman physician Musa Hammon converts Mamluk Palace wing into teaching hospital. Clinical notes compare desert heatstroke regimens to Anatolian frostbite cures, establishing proto-epidemiological charts. Salim reviews summary, underlines phrase ventilation paramount, applies to palace kitchens to curb smoke inhalation. Death Star Meteor, Registry Damascene Astronomer, Kehabedin, Idimdan, Maghribi, requests the Salim's patronage for Celestial Diary. Sultan funds brass plane spheres. Registry of Meteors kept nightly atop Cape Bay Minaret. 20-year dataset later aids calendar reform under Salim's grandson Suleiman. 8 legacy flicker scimitar sheathed. Science seeded. Selim reigns only 8 years, yet he redraws empire's borders, from Danube mouths to Nubian cataracts, from Caspian highlands to Algerian approaches through vassal Barbarossa. He dies in 1520 near Corlu, curling mustache as plague fever rises. Final order, Ensure caravan to Mecca departs on schedule. Janissari, East bear coffin draped in prophet's mantle replica. Shoulder tapping cadence. Thud, pause. Thud, the hind. Them scholars carry astrolabe and kilij crosta. Heraldry blending blade and compass. Closing exhale desert wind into marble hall. Exhale 6 counts field. Desert heat fade into cool library corridors. Salim's scimitar carved frontiers. Yet within new borders mathematicians, physicians, cartographers, and engineers laid circuits of knowledge that his son Suleiman would illuminate. Next chapter will brave law and architecture under Suleiman's. Golden Tegra, where desire and reason dance across imperial canopies. Chapter 11, The Golden Tegra. Shaft of mid-morning light pierces the lattice shutters of Topka's Imperial Council Hall, dropping a molten rectangle across the polished walnut table, where Suleiman ibn Salim guides a reed pen through looping. Calligraphy, ink glints amber as he finishes the flourish that will become emblem for an epoch, the Tegra name of God, his own titles, and a prayer for victory, braided into a single golden monogram. Courtiers watch breathlessly. Once the pen lifts, an attendant powders the wet strokes with ground lapis gold dust. When excess pigment blows away, the design glows sunrise captured on parchment. Thus begins a reign later remembered as Kanuni, the lawgiver but equally Mutsum, the magnificent. 2 adjectives fused like arabesque vines around one pillar. Breathe in 4 counts scent of almond. Gum fixative and distant jasmine from garden courts. Hold to feel the hush of scribes adjusting posture. Exhale 6, listening to the distant. Measured hammer taps of Memor Sinan's apprentices setting keystones in a half-finished dome. One inheritance of range, borders, books, and blueprints. Suleiman receives from his father Salim a realm spanning 3 continents and anchored by Cairo's grain wealth, Damascus's sacred roots, and Edern's martial forges. Yet physical expanse threatens to fray without intellectual warp. First edict. Commission a unified revision of Khananim. Ali Osman law code, cross-stitching previous sultans' decrees into a single scroll. Legal scholar Abasuad Effendi leads committee, matching Arabic fake principles to Roman Byzantine property clauses inherited from Constantinople's notitiaire. The resulting tome weighs 2 kilos bound in leather, the empire's portable spine. Parallel to law, Suleiman inherits Salim's library of astronomical logs, engineering sketches, and medical treatises. He dedicates Sarayvari Humayun Kudafanezi expansion wing, inviting Greek, Armenian, Persian, Jewish, and Arab copyists to reproduce manuscripts on rack paper imported from Fabriano mills. Paper wrestles lighter than parchment. Scribes, accustomed to heavier drag, relearn pen pressure, their silence broken only by crisp Shah of Kalam Neb. On the architectural side, Chief Royal Architect Sinan begins career as Janissary engineer, bridging Danube forts. Suleiman senses the man's latent geometry and appoints him Memorback. Sinan's notebooks brim with parabolic arch sketches and experiments. Using egg-white litharge mortar for tensile domes. 2. Law gilded with Mercy Canon and action.tax symmetry reform Basuud's code standardizes avarice, extraordinary levy, by income rather than village headcount, easing burden on Albanian highlands and Anatolian plateaus alike. Treasury auditors deploy copper measuring rods to assess field yields. Farmers call rods justice reeds. Grain output rises 12% in 5 years, evidence that fairness multiplies harvests. Court of Appeal in Abe Suleiman, establishes Divan y Akam I Adli in Ayub district for non-Muslim litigants. Sephardic merchants can contest contract breaches before Qadi versed in Talmudic and Sharia provisions. Verdicts archived bilingually. Venetian envoy notes astonishment and dispatch. Here Latin tongues find remedy under the crescent. Canon and canon military code restricts siege. Artillery requisition to campaign sanctioned by fatwa and divan decree. No rogue governors may drag cannons to settle local disputes. This legal muzzle curbs internal fragmentation, welding provinces to central Togra like rivets unseen yet unbreakable. 3 marble domes and sonic geometry sentence first. Crescendo. Kezed Mosque 154348. Bilda's memorial for Suleiman's. Senmemd, not to be confused with the conqueror. Kizad complex marks Sinan's apprentice piece. Dome diameter 19 meters, supported by semi-domes and tetradic symmetry. Acousticians later measure reverberation decay of 3.8 seconds, ideal for Quranic recitation clarity. Seen in experiments with hollow clay pots embedded in gallery walls. To temper echoes, Pythagorean antiphon meets Islamic dhikr. Soleimani masterpiece 155057, perched on Third Hill. Soleimani Mosque crowned skyline with 53 meters main dome, aligning visually between Hagia Sophia and Gallop Tower, a caliper of civilizations. Sinan's mathematical draft sets buttresses inside wall thickness, hiding mass, making stone float. Astronomer Takial then calculates solar noonbeam to penetrate oculus each equinox, spotlighting Mirab. At dedication, Suleiman whispers, "Domes are laws in stone." Mosque complex houses medical college, soup kitchen, caravanserai, and observatory. Knowledge flows below prayer like aquifers under orchard. Water conduits and hygiene Sinan rebuilds Roman Valens aqueduct. Extending. Channeled to 9 sebels, public fountains. Water quality checks by Jewish physician Moses of Rhodes confirm trace. Mineral balance conducive to reduce dysentery public health, as architectural flourish point for imperial pen as bow poetry. Diplomacy and siege, poetic sultan under pen name. Muhibi. Suleiman composes ghazals blending Persian metaphor with Anatolian folk imagery, rose petals trembling on emerald saw blades, representing destiny's dual sweetness and severance. He mails verses to wife Hurrem Sultan, Ni Roxolana, forging epistolary bond crossing harem walls. Court reciters render poems to nay accompaniment. Words propagate through taverns, hearts, and caravan nights dot Vienna and Schweigetmar military stage tests law's steel underside. 1526 Mohawks. Hungarian armored knights sink in Danube floodplain mud. Ottoman cannon and arquebus lines reap decisive victory. Suleiman enters Buda, sets law courts to protect Hungarian nobles willing to pledge loyalty, but plague and logistic. Drain impede permanent annexation. 1529 Vienna siege fails due to early snows and stretched supply lines. Suleiman's engineers record deficiency, notes distance between gun emplacements and walls beyond optimal blast cone dot in 1566. Elderly. Sultan writes to Shigetver. Disease grips him, but he dictates legal amendment on campaign trail. Widows have fallen. Janissaries exempt from land tax for 1 generation manifestation of law. Following Sword's Shadow, .5, Penumbra of Love, and Intrigue Harem Restem. An Imperial Harem. Harem's Philanthropy Harem commissions Husky Harem Complex. Mosque. Hammam, soup kitchen near Hagia Sophia. Architect Sinan designs bathhouse marble hot plates, Gobek talk, heated by hypocaust. Jewish bath attendants. hired for Friday nights, syncing with Muslim Day of Prayer. Inclusivity extends Canaan into basalt and steam. Venetian nickel scandal Grand Vizier Rustam Pasha. Hurrem's son-in-law schemes with Venetian traders to import low-grade nickel disguised as silver ore, clipping profit from sultany coinage. Suleiman's audit triggered by sudden drop in coin ringtone, tinny ping, uncovers fraud. Lawgiver spares Rustam execution but demotes him. Conan proves no relative outranks jurisprudence. 6 Hand of Science Observatory. Cartography and medicinal advance. TAQI Alden's Observatory 1577. Though inaugurated posthumously during Murad III, groundwork by Suleiman secures funding. Observers chart Jupiter's moons. Compile sidereal tables of Istanbul rivaling Tycho Brahe's. Maritime ships adopt tables, reducing wrecks near roads by quarter. Metrakna city miniatures ordered by Suleiman to chronicle Iraq campaign. 1534-36. Nasu paints panoramic miniatures, combining cartographic accuracy with artistic flourish. Baghdad's Tigris loops shimmering between azure dots marking ferry anchor points. Scrolls filed in Topkapi Library. Future engineers consult during. Canal proposals centuries later. Medical compendium Akrabadin Isoleimani. Physician Serafedin. Sabunkoglu compiles surgical atlas showing cautery techniques. Funded by imperial grant. Illustrations depict female surgeon assisting male counterpart. Progressive gender nuance seeded by Hurrem's advocacy. 7 Echoes Across Seas, Barbarossa. Assa and Trans-Saharan links. Admiral Harridan Barbarossa Suleiman. Appoints corsair turned admiral, securing Mediterranean dominance. Ottoman cannon found at Toulon Winter Dock 1543. French alliance shows law of politics. Flexible yet beneficial enemy of Habsburg's enemy becomes fleet guest. Essay envoy Sultan of Visay, Sumatra. Sends embassy seeking aid against Portuguese Malacca. Suleiman dispatches gunners, cannon founders. And creative Euclidean translated works, scimitar presence via maritime science catalyst. Trans-Saharan. Caravans Timbuktu scholars request Arabic copies of Conan excerpts. Caravans deliver along with dispatch boxes of salt and gold dust. Conan thus drifts on camel back into Sahel Madrasa courts. 8. Twilight of the Lawgiver from Golden Inkwell to Ebony Coffin. In 1566. At Shigetber siege, Suleiman succumbs to illness. Grand Vizier Sukalu Mehmet Pasha conceals death until victory assured. Heart and organs interred beneath campaign tent. Body transported to Istanbul, where Sinan constructs the Suleiman Turbesi octagonal mausoleum under lace stone dome. Interior. Tiles paler variant of Daisnik cobalt depicting Cyprus reaching heavens, law stretching beyond mortal dusk. Sukalu continues administration. Starts Suez Nile Canal feasibility study based on the Su maps, though never completed. Golden Tugra on all Furman persists posthumously. Legal echo transcending ruler. Closing exhalation law carved in dome shadow. Exhale 6 counts feels cedar dust from Sinan. Scaffolds mingling with ink aromas inside Abbasud's library cubicles. Suleiman's golden tugra seals empire's parchment, yet its ink remains supple, inviting successors to annotate margins. Domes heaped skyward shelter daily markets, law courts, calligraphy circles. Echoes travel to present where minaret. Silhouettes punctuate modern skylines. With this chapter, our quiet Ottoman history drifts toward modernity, leaving behind a mosaic of silk wisp